Number 9, we are still simplifying, and I would recommend, like, you can start simplifying here, like this would be 1/2, and you can start simplifying here, but I think I'm just gonna, right off the bat, multiply the numerators together, multiply the denominators together, and then just go from there. So, here we have 24 x to the 4th, y to the 4th. And down here we have 8 times 16 is 128, x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. Now here x and y are undefined at 0, right? That makes my denominator 0. Now, a trick that you can do with the numbers here, with simplifying them, is put 24 divided by 128 into the yellow calculator. You're going to get a fraction. Then you hit math, and then frac comes up, okay? And you hit enter, enter, and it will reduce the fraction for you. And it reduces to 3/6. So, meaning that you could divide both of these by 8. Okay, just kidding. I thought that was weird. 16. Yikes. Okay, now I have 4x's up here. I have 5 down here. So it leaves me with 1 in the denominator. I have 4y's up here and 3 down here. 3 of them will cancel, leaving me with 1 up here. Here, x is undefined at 0. But y is defined, okay? So if I plug in 0 here for x and y, they'll be undefined. If I plug in 0 for x here, it's undefined, but if I plug in 0 for y, it's 0. So they're not the same when y equals 0. So y cannot equal 0. All right, moving right along. Okay, let's see what we can pull out. Now, this is kind of in a weird order, and I'm kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. It's in a weird order. Normally the x squared comes first, so it would be negative 4x squared plus 4x if I switched it. And if I do that, then I could factor out a negative 4x. So I'm going to do that here. Okay, and when I do that, I get a negative 1 plus x. Hopefully you see that. And just to check it, I can do negative 4x times negative 1 is positive 4x. Negative 4x times x is negative 4x squared. Okay, so I factored out a negative, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, underneath there we've got x plus 3, x minus 1 times, and again we could just put this all on the same line because we're just multiplying across. This is x plus 3, x minus 2, and then we just have the 4x. Okay, here x is undefined at negative 3, 1, and 0. Okay, let's start slashing. It's the best part. X plus 3, 4x and 4x, leaving the negative. Okay, negative 1 plus x is the same thing as x minus 1. That's why I pulled out a negative 4x. Now, if you didn't pull out a negative 4x, if you just pulled out a 4x, this will be 1 minus x. But 1 minus x over x minus 1 is negative 1. I explained it in class. If you have questions, I'm not going to go into it now, but if you have questions about that, you can ask me about that later. Okay, so this cancels out, I am left with a negative and then x minus 2. Everything is defined here, right? Because there's no denominator. So x cannot be 0, 1, or negative 3. Now you can leave it like this. You could make this negative x plus 2 if you distribute the negative. You could also change these two places and have 2 minus x. All of those are the same, but I would accept any of those. All right, let's move on to number 11. Okay, now we've got a division problem. Now you guys have seen it both ways. You've seen it stacked on itself like this. You've also seen it written out where it would be this one divided by this one, okay? This is just how the problems were done when I was making this review. This is just how they decided to do it, so. Okay, again, what do we do first? Factor first. So a minus 2 is factored, okay? A squared plus 4a minus 21 is going to give me a plus 7, a minus 3. Okay, now if you want to kill two birds with one stone, we can now keep, change, flip. Okay, we're going to flip these two because I'm dividing, right? So keep the top one, change it to multiplication, and flip these two. And when I do that, I get a minus 3 times a minus 3, that's this one. And up here, I get a minus 3, a minus 2, okay? A is undefined, I'm just going to do UND, at negative 7, 3, and 2. Now, one thing to remember here is that there are actually 3 denominators in this problem. There's one right here, there's one right here, and then there's this big one, okay? So we have to look at what makes all 3 of those denominators 0. So this line here is this, and what makes that 0 is negative 7 and 3. We've got this line right here, which is this one, and it's 3, where it's undefined. But I also just flipped it. And so I also have to take into consideration 2. All right, lots to cancel. We've got a minus 3, we've got another a minus 3, and we have a minus 2. Okay, when there is nothing on the top, when everything is slashed out, what's left? It's not 0. Okay, people want to make it 0 so bad, but it's not. It's 1, right? Because when we cancel these out, we're left with 1. So I get 1 over a plus 7. A is undefined at negative 7. So there are the 2 that are the same, excuse me, leaving me with the 2 that are not the same. Okay? All right. Next one, factor first. I've got 14, that leaves me with 2x minus 1, over, I can pull out a 3x, that leaves me with 2x minus 1. Ooh, I'm liking this already. Keep, change, flip, I'm going to flip these 2. So I factor, so this is going to factor out a 3x, and I'm left with 5x plus 2. And then up here I factor out a 7, and I'm left with 5x plus 2. Now again, I've got 3 denominators. So x is undefined at, well, I mean, I guess these are the same, so it doesn't really matter, but this is going to be 0, 1/2, and this is going to be negative 2/5. Now how did I get that? I gotta know what makes this 0, right? So I put that equal to 0 and I solve for x. So there's where the negative 2/5 comes from. Okay, slash, 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 slash. That was fun. 14/7 is 2. So if I put anything into this, I'm going to get 2, except 0, 1/2, or negative 2/5, because if I put those in here, it's undefined. So x cannot be 0, 1/2, or negative 2/5. Oh, and I know I talked about 3 denominators. The 3 denominators are here too. It's just the 5x plus 2 is the same. So they're both going to be negative 2/5. Okay, I think we need to move on. I need to cut this off. And we will move on in the next video.